My beloved brethren and sisters, humbly and gratefully I stand before you this morning and seek an interest in your faith and prayers, that the message that I have may be accompanied by the Spirit. It's a wonderful sight that I view here this morning. It's good to be with you, my beloved young friends, distinguished members of the faculty, special guests. My wife and I have just returned from a glorious weekend at St. George, where I had the privilege of addressing 3 overflow audiences, 2 in the largest auditorium they have at Dixie College, made up largely of young people, and 1 on the 4th floor, a solemn assembly in the temple. We were honoring the centennial of the dedication of the St. George Temple, the first one to be erected in the western part of the country. We are still basking in the aftermath of another great general conference of the church. Never in my memory have we had more explicit warnings from prophets of God, and nowhere in the world are there men better prepared or more obligated to issue such warnings. Today I want to discuss some principles and laws of the celestial kingdom and some of the fallacies of their perverted counterfeits in the world. I share with you a vision of your eternal possibilities. The celestial kingdom, residence of God, our eternal Father, is comprised of men and women who have complied with divine law and were not deceived by the craftiness of men nor the doctrines of devils. They are just men made perfect through the mediation and atonement of Jesus Christ. They are obedient to celestial law. For as the Lord has said, he who is not able to abide the law of the celestial kingdom cannot abide a celestial glory. Celestial laws embodied in certain ordinances belonging to the Church of Jesus Christ are complied with by voluntary covenant. The laws are spiritual. Thus our Father in heaven has ordained certain holy sanctuaries called temples for these laws to be fully explained. They are taught to those who have complied with the basic principles of the gospel of Christ. Briefly explained, the laws included and do include the law of obedience and sacrifice, the law of the gospel, the law of chastity, and the law of consecration. I want to speak more particularly this morning about this one law, the law of consecration. It is that one's time, talent, strength, property, and money are given up to the Lord for the express purpose of building up the kingdom of God and establishing Zion on the earth. Or as we read in the 105th section of the Doctrine and Covenants, Zion cannot be built up unless it is by the principles of the laws on the celestial kingdom. Much has been written about the law and its attempted implementations in the early history of the church. Much deception has taken root, even among some of our members, because of misinformed opinion or misguided interpretations. Some view it as merely an economic alternative to capitalism or the free enterprise system. Others as an outgrowth of early communal experiments in America. Such a view is not only short-sighted, but tends to diminish in importance a binding requirement for entrance into the celestial kingdom. The law of consecration is a celestial law, not an economic experiment. The vehicle for implementing the law of consecration is called the United Order. The basic principle underlying the United Order is that everything we have belongs to the Lord, and therefore the Lord may call on us for any and all of our property because it belongs to Him. The United Order is entered by a covenant and deed which cannot be broken according to the Scriptures. In other words, an individual conveys title to all his property to the church through the bishop. The property becomes the property of the church. You read about it in the 42nd section of the Doctrine and Covenants. The bishop then deeds back to the consecrator, by legal instrument, the amount of personal property required by the individual for the support of himself and his family, and as the Lord declares, quote, according to his circumstances and his wants and needs. This becomes the private, personal property of the individual to develop as he sees fit. It is his stewardship. When an individual produces a profit or surplus more than is needful for the support of himself and his family, the surplus is then placed in the bishop's storehouse to administer to the poor and the needy. Under the United Order, idleness has no place. Greed, selfishness, and covetousness are condemned. The United Order may therefore operate with only a righteous people. It has been erroneously concluded by some that the United Order is both communal and communistic in theory and practice, because the revelations speak of equality. Equality under the United Order is not economic